What's going on, guys? Chuck and
Chris?
here. You can see we just got done watching a 3D film. As you can tell by the spectacular eyewear. You can go take this off because it's kind of weird. To celebrate the 110th anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic, which myself and Chris are big, I'm going to call it, I guess, fans of Titanic. Not fan of it. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but we're fascinated with. Yeah, I'd say we're fascinated with the whole story of Titanic, especially him. He, when he first heard about it, I mean, he didn't really know. He heard the term Titanic, didn't know exactly what it was.
Basically, I was playing a game, and I would just randomly say Titanic all of a sudden, and then my dad would explain what it was.
And from that point on, he became extremely fascinated with the whole story of Titanic. I mean, he was like obsessed for a long while. I mean, he found everything he could find. He actually reminded me a lot of myself because I do the same thing when I get into something. But he went into a lot of YouTube videos. He actually watched the film Titanic, and for Chris to sit down and watch a film, it's let alone one that's 3 hours long, and just be totally into it. And he, not only that, but he watched all the special features on that DVD that I had, which was amazing because, again, that's more attention span than he usually has for something like that. So, and also one of the first or earliest books he was reading at the time was A Night to Remember. And he and I would read it together. It was like the first real major book that he tried to start reading on his own. He picked it up on himself because I have that and The Night Goes On. I think that's what the second one's called. But he picked off the shelf himself and started reading it, so we would try to read it together, which we should probably get back to that sometime.
Yeah, we should probably do it.
It's been a while. But anyways, so today is April 15th, 2022. Today marks the 110th anniversary of the sinking. Actually kind of goes over from April 14th to April 15th, technically, because it hit the iceberg.
April 14th.
On April 14th,
and it fully sank on the 15th.
Right. 11:40 p.m. I believe it was when it hit the iceberg roughly, and then sank about 2:20 a.m. on April the 15th. So I think before we've done this, we've watched Night to Remember. I think it was last year we did that. We watched Night to Remember, and this year I thought I'd do something different, and that was watch the IMAX 3D film Ghost of the Abyss. Now, obviously, this is not IMAX. But this is film actually my wife and I saw in IMAX, which was amazing, by the way, in 3D. And this is before he was born. But I bought this, and like I said, it's actually in real 3D. And like I said, we have a 3D TV and our 3D glasses.
Yeah.
And we got to check it out. So, what'd you think of it?
It was very cool.
Really cool? Yeah. It was pretty good 3D, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There were some scenes where they're showing the equipment, it just jumped right out at you. He actually jumped a couple times. It was hilarious. But actually, the 3D is really good. And basically, for those who don't know, Ghost of the Abyss is follows. It's actually narrated by Bill Paxton, of course, who starred in Titanic, and it's him going on another dive with James Cameron years after Actually, it's 2001 at the time it takes place, which becomes important later on in the film. So obviously the film came out in 97, so this is several years after the fact. For whatever reason, James Cameron, of course, is obsessed with Titanic as well. So he's made several dives for the film, after the film, just for whatever reasons. And this was a case where they were documenting those, and they decided to film it and put it in IMAX in 3D, which was really good. There's a lot of really beautiful shots taking you through the inside of the ship that were just awe-inspiring, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
What were some of your favorite spots?
If I don't know, just at like the dive and seeing the ship itself.
Mm-hmm. And just the beginning of it when Bill Paxton, he's locked in the sub and realizing he's going to be trapped in this small little space for the next 2.5 hours, being submerged. And it's interesting to watch him in the film because he's got moments where he's talking to his Russian pilot. This guy Gage here is saying this is how much oxygen we have, right? Well, when does it get bad? If it goes 19, that's bad, right? What happened? There's fail safes that he's really telling you he's panicking and freaking out. And of course, I mean you're deep.
If something goes wrong, you're just dead.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it's also cool because he kind of narrates and very much like he does in the movie with a very dramatic narration, which works really well. But when they get down there and they actually get to the ocean surface, it's really cool. And the first thing Chris pointed out was a starfish up on the ocean.
I don't know. That's the first thing.
But it's really cool because you see, of course, they bring up and you come up across the bow of the Titanic and in 3D on everything it's really amazing, awe inspiring. And what they do is obviously as they go across the ship, they talk about it and they superimpose it with images of what the ship would look like. What these wrecked parts of the ship will look like in all its glory, and again, hence the Ghost of the Abyss title, because you're almost like you're watching ghosts on the wreckage of the Titanic. It's a very interesting take, and you got to see a lot of things that were just fascinating. Obviously there was like some of the stained glass windows that were still intact, which is amazing.
Very.
Yeah.
After all, 100.
Well, at this point,
Yeah.
it takes place. It's only I think 90 some years.
Right, but still, that is very fascinating. Not to mention, it's all between all that water pressure.
Mm-hmm. And the glass is still intact, and the windows, and some of how they went to the Marconi room, and the levers were still in those switch handle or the positions where they were for, the actual sinking. There was somewhere that had I forget what it was some kind of shelf or something that had a cup or water bottles and they were still standing up. They were knocked over. It was really crazy how they were still in place. And just again seeing that. I mean, obviously you've seen so many documentaries of Titanic. You've seen a lot of National Geographic, History Channel, whatever.
Yeah, back when I was 8, I had a book about it. It was a National Geographic book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously so much, but we still, when you're seeing it and seeing it presented this way, every time you get kind of footage of the actual wreck itself, and then seeing it in the 3D just really brought it to life. It really immersed you in it, and it's awe-inspiring to say the least, especially knowing the story of Titanic and just what happened throughout that. And I was saying, speaking of which, that the filming took place during 2001. And at one point, they were coming up on September 11th, 2001, when they were coming up from the ocean to realize what had happened that day, which, I had to explain to Chris the significance of that day.
Because I actually thought they said, I thought they said September 1st. Yeah, I thought I heard first, not 11.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was interesting, I guess, juxtaposition between the disaster of September 11th and talking about the disaster of the Titanic, which they mentioned the dive at that point almost seemed pointless or not as important after what had happened, but they were out there. They kind of went back to it and just I guess as a reminder of what can happen when as they put it, what happens when you don't heed warnings. Or something like that, but it was very, very fascinating. Some of the best scenes, though, on a happier note, were earlier on in the film when they're about to dive, when they're on the rocky water and they're trying to just get into the sub, and that water just going. And
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean it was some rough, especially when we were going in, but when they were coming back up from the first dive.
Yeah.
And
there was this one person trying to attach the water, trying to attach it.
The cable to hook to the sub, yeah.
He kept on falling off.
Yeah, he was on top of it just trying to hatch it, and the water was so rough, it was knocking me down. He was pushing them off. And then you cut to images of Bill Paxton in there about to throw up because he's being tossed around. And in the 3D, it just really showed, it's almost making me seasick. But it was very good. So, but, yeah, so, okay, that is really just it. It was, did you like the film?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It was very.
Yeah, I wish you could have seen it on IMAX. As you'd have been, he wants to see an IMAX film.
I've not seen an IMAX film.
Yeah, I've only seen a few, but yeah, that's one of these ones that are especially made for IMAX. And it's if ever got a viewing or a showing again, I would definitely take you to see it because that is amazing seeing that huge IMAX screen. I mean, it was good on the this 73-inch, but on a giant IMAX screen, it's even more immersive. So again, that's Ghost of the Abyss. And this is still available. I got it from Amazon not too long ago. This actually is 3D, Blu-ray, and DVD, so it's a 3-disc combo.
Cool.
You got your little slip. Here's book, or the book, the case. I'm trying to say, and then Disney award, movie rewards, but these are pretty much expired, so forget those. But you got your 3D disc, your Blu-ray, your DVD.
Yep. 3 in 1.
And again, I know this is a hard thing to come by because the DVD or DVD, 3D TVs are not really
common.
No, they're not. They're pretty much a thing of the past, at least for now. So many years, 3D makes a resurgence. I'm sure it will too. And of course, there are projectors out there that run 3D. But if you've got a chance, if you're interested or a lover of the Titanic whatsoever, and you have the 3D capability to view this, I highly recommend checking this out. And even if not, you can watch a Blu-ray. It's still pretty good, even without 3D. It's a good story, good film. So
very good.
Very good. That's all you need to hear. Very good.
Yeah.
So,
10 out of 10.
Yeah. So that is it, and this is our celebration again of the 110th anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic. So until next year for the 111th anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic, this is Chuck and
Chris.
And we will see you on the other side.
All right, adios.